Welcome, little friends, to a glorious stream where I will not be disturbed by anyone or anything for that matter. I hope you're having a very, very good day, little chant, because I am doing actually surprisingly okay. I don't feel particularly well all of a sudden, but I'm not sure why that is. That's why today's stream was a little bit later than it probably would have been, but that's okay. Sometimes you just sort of don't. I don't know what's wrong with my voice all of a sudden. It's kind of weird now. I don't think I'm sick. I just don't feel very well. Okay, well, that feels a little weirder to speak. Maybe my voice will loosen up a little bit when we get talking. Oh, I do not like the fact that my voice feels weird. So, how is everyone today? I'm not sick. I just, have a little bit of a weird voice all of a sudden. It'll pass. So, today we'll be talking about some project-related things, mostly because I don't feel like particularly playing a video game today. Because I just really don't feel like playing games for whatever reason today. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about, and the first thing we're going to talk about, this is also a Q&A, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. But the first thing we're going to sort of discuss today is going to be, where we're standing on the project, how far are we, and where we are. Because not everybody always tunes in all the time, and not everybody knows, what's going on in every stream, so it's always good to touch base with everyone. So if you're not familiar, Robin's making some good grounds on his streams in the morning with a code, which is always good. It means we're getting lots of things done, when it comes to visuals and other codey things relating to the combat build, niceties, even some sound effects stuff and music. The other thing that's super important in that field is just, the overall progression of the combat build as a whole. Now, there's a lot of things that are actually being developed as we speak about that combat build, because it's a pretty big deal for this year. The first big thing is gotta be probably, if I had to be honest, the portraits. The portraits are the first big visual thing that we're working on at the moment for the combat build. These are pretty basic, they're not too crazy, but they get the point across. You can tell what a character struck in the portrait window because they have, a sort of a damage reception thing. This is a work in progress thing, but I like the idea that the portraits are reflective of the characters so that they reflect the status of the character, both health-wise and emotional. So it's like if a character's, discussing something, if it's aggressive or if it's not aggressive, their expressions will reflect that on top of the, actual dialogue itself. This is a nice little touch, I think, because it helps give a little bit more soul to the emotions of characters. This is something that I kind of wish games in the West had a little bit more of, where we would see a little bit more emotion, but it seems like we've sort of settled into a place where a lot of games are just kind of content with, just static portraits, which is not, again, one of those things that's a big deal in terms of gameplay. In fact, it has really no bearing, but it's one of those immersive aspects that I always thought the East always tackled a little better than the West. And that's kind of the hope there, is that we're going to be able to get that, fully functional. And so there'll be a couple of states to these, and I'll go through them real quickly. The root inspiration, if you didn't know, is Doom. Mostly because as a little kid when I played Doom, it was already ancient, and it was like this really cool looking cover for like a dusty game. And I was like, wow, there's like a little dude at the bottom of the screen, and he looks all beat up. It gets very sad. And so I was like, oh, that's not good. That guy feels a little sad. Well, wouldn't it be good if we had that in our game? And so that's more or less the root inspiration, was literally Doom. So that's what we're going for with that, is the idea that the faces, get all bonked up. They look all beat up. They don't look so good. And so there's going to be some different states. There's probably only going to be 2 states for the initial build, to be honest, mostly because I don't want to overcomplicate things. It's always easy to add more stuff, and it's very hard to move stuff away. So that's one of the big things. What is the roadmap? We're kind of going through that. So I'll sort of summarize the roadmap because I didn't really type it up, but I literally have it ingrained in my memory. So when it comes to, we have different fields. We have sound, we have art, we have programming. Now, if you watch Robin streams, all the programming data and information will be filled in there. If you haven't watched them, basically the short summary of that is getting the renderer functional was the big deal. That was the big hurdle. Making the game run at a smooth and stable frame rate consistently, no matter how many enemies we throw at you, no matter how funny we think it is. And thank you for your donation, by the way. And so that was the idea behind that. So making it stable, making sure there's no problems there, and taking the time to make that functional. Then it's like the niceties of like shadows and, you know, ray casting sort of from the clouds, casting onto the buildings to give it a bit more immersive feel. Because the idea with the combat build is that we also want it to be visually impressive too, so that you can see the overall visual aspects. So we can finally get rid of those naysayers like Blake there in chat who's like, it looks like a JRPG. It's not a JRPG. It's a very different style game. Firstly, it's not made in Japan. Secondly, it doesn't even imitate those. I'm going to strangle you. But that's generally the idea. The idea is to really show you everything that we're going for. The combat build and / combat prototype, its core functionality is to mostly show people what it is we're going for, finally. And for that matter, also being able to actually play test it. Now, there's still a ways to go before the test in terms of coding stuff. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about programmatically in terms of mechanics, user interface, and other various features that need to be improved or added to begin with. But one thing, if you've been watching Robin's stream, you probably noticed is that the dynamic sort of sound and music stuff is already being worked on. We're already getting that implemented. The next thing I'm working on with the sound is actually we've recruited some VAs from our friend Blonde Bimbo and some that we just sort of knew beforehand. These are just to help us get some, the word partial voice at work, yes. Partial voice work. Basically, it's nothing like exorbitant, but just like moans and groans of ouchies and incantations of spell casting and spell firing, and maybe some dynamic combat dialogue-y things I was experimenting with mentally, but we'll see, because it's very quickly, you know, it's something you don't want combat to turn into a giant conversation. That'd be a bit weird. No, too much monologuing, if you will, because you're kind of busy trying to survive. And so that's kind of the idea there. So the voice work stuff is getting all queued up. I've got a lot of work to do on that today, so I'm going to be working on that tonight and basically trying to wrap up the sample test for the VA so we can assign Ria, Aya, and Nazra to their respective VA actresses. And then later I'll go get a male once we get closer to implementation of like an actual proper AI that just doesn't follow you around like a little Muppet. Because currently the AI just follows you like a little puppy. You know, except a puppy that tries to stab you to death, but that's just sort of what the AI does. But the puppy does have internal disputes, I will say that. Puppy sometimes is not sure if it wants to kill you or if it wants to postpone its turn. It has a basic decision-making process at the moment. So, I might not kill you. I might kill you. It's just the introduction of AI decision-making as a whole. Pretty basic stuff, nothing too fancy there. That's been in there for a good while now. The next thing to talk about is sound effects. Now, the sound effects are really fucking cool, and I'm not going to show you them because I want to save that for a surprise later. Yes, we do have the spear beak sound effects and some of the tests, and they're pretty scary. Robert made them. They sound genuinely terrifying. I think I had goosebumps. I think everyone on the team did when we first heard them. I was like, Jesus Christ. That thing does not sound pleasant to be around. And so that's generally the idea there. But beyond that, that's sort of like the whole combat prototype stuff, and that's what the big core focus is when it comes to the actual video game side of things. When it comes to the lore stuff, we're trying to put together that storyboard, which is, you know, quite heavy on pictures and art. But we're almost done. We're very close. We're like 17 panels in now. I've had to rotate artists because the issue is on our team is not only do we have a shoestring budget, but we also have a large team, all things considered. Actually, we have a fairly large indie team, but one of the issues that we have to deal with is artist fatigue, and so it's important to rotate artists. Now, why do I say that? Because if you have an artist work on something for too long, what happens is it stops having that spark of inspiration, and what happens is it all of a sudden becomes, you know, a little bit diminished. Not because of the artist's skill or anything, but if you work on something like a pan for like, you know, a week solid, you're going to be really sick of drawing pans. You know what I mean? So it's good to rotate them. So we've been rotating our artists and basically getting them to do other things like troop designs and stuff like that because it keeps them fresh. In fact, it's thanks to this rotation functionality or rotation business that we have these nice boys here. These are the Nephiric Slavers. They'll be in the video game and the tabletop, so that's pretty cool. They look really awesome. In fact, they look way better than the original version. I don't even want to show you the original version. The original version I thought looked pretty neat. These guys literally just are on a whole other level. They are intimidating. But I was thinking of different things, and you know what's interesting? Because when it comes to enemy designs, it's one of the few things that I have left to work on, because we don't have a lot of enemies implemented in the video game besides like a spear bro. Spear bro is simple ad. All he does is go around poking people with a stick, and then eventually they die. And that's about it. That's about as simple as it gets. No, Abaddon, I didn't. The originals I do not want to show right now because that'll be in the art book, you muppet. You'll see them in time. But I have to save some things for the art book. If you miss out on every stream, you will miss out on unique art pieces and even unique previews of old concept art. That's part of the punishment of not being loyal to Kib. Kib is a vindictive bitch and will punish you. If you strike me down, I shall be more powerful than dead. Yeah, basically, Robert Renan. Rare Fox says he's tired. That's most unfortunate. And congratulations on waking up, Rare Fox. I'm surprised you managed to get out of bed. He's like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. But yeah. So one thing I was thinking about in terms of gameplay mechanics is I got thinking actually because of Diablo 4. This is stuff I've already actually had in the pipeline for a long time. And I want to talk about this briefly because it's always worth bringing up again and again, because it's always that question of the line and how far it is before you go too far or you don't go far enough. Mechanics, right? And situations on the battlefield. In the game, Legend of Tertia, you know, takes place on a tactical. Oh, I'm so slow down, Kib. Takes place on a tactical combat grid. Now, one thing that's important about this tactical grid is you maneuver, because it's a tactics game. So, putting characters in different positions is very important on this grid. So, characters like this slaver here has like a man catcher. If you're familiar with what man catchers are, they were used in the ancient times by slavers to basically grab people. They got little pokey bits on it. So, the idea is you push that in, and that will grab their neck, and those pokey bits hurt a lot. It allows you to manipulate and control the person a little bit more easily. But it gives me the idea of this actually being something in the video game as well, because I do want like more mechanical function things, but enemies like this are enemies that always worry me, because enemies like this are like a stunning enemy. This is an enemy that can slow you down. This is an enemy that can greatly shift the control on the battlefield, and if poorly implemented, could be just a real cumbersome annoyance to deal with. And so it's all about how to implement enemies that present a danger on the battlefield, but also not necessarily, you know, completely one-sided spectrum of they just completely are worthless. And so I was wondering what your guys' thoughts are on stuns, or not necessarily stuns, but anything that can impair movement. Because we've all played video games where we've been stunned before, and we've also played video games where we've been stun locked. And I think most of us can kind of all agree that when you're stun locked, you just kind of sit there and you're kind of like, well, this sucks, and you sort of twiddle your thumbs. Now, in a tactics game, it's a bit different because you have to open your mind up a little bit more than just like, you know, a real-time game, like be it like WoW or something. In a tactics game, you have, you know, all the time in the world to think about each turn you move a character. So it really boils down to, okay, you know, like chess pieces on a board, right? How you maneuver things and how you're punished. I think you can actually get away with a bit more mean things in a tabletop game, or not tabletop, in a video game, in a tabletop game if it's turn-based, than you could in a video game, because video games are really cancer. If you get stun locked, it's your own fault, says Rare Fox. It's a skill issue. Yes. Well, in a way, yes and no. There's also such thing going too far. For example, if you make an enemy that, you know, casts like some sort of frost nova, whatever, I'm just stealing the name from something else even, and it just instantly stuns but has a cooldown of one turn, so you can just keep doing it, then you can stun at nauseum. That to me feels like it's not properly balanced and feels more like a broken mechanic that just was poorly implemented and poorly thought about. It should be fine as long as the affected characters can break out of it. Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking too. Is actually implementation of a mechanic for each character to actually break a lock or break the stun, so to speak. Not entirely impossible. Say Rhea's grabbed by this thing, right? And she grabs her short sword, grabs the stick, and then, you know, is able to get close enough and stab the little lad in the gut. This little lad might get a little sad, you know. He may be wearing a skull, but he probably doesn't want to be a skull. Maybe a mini game that breaks you out of a stun faster. Well, possibly in like a real-time action game. In fact, I think there have been many actually that do that. You're definitely thinking with your noodle there, Vulcan lad, because that is actually a, I believe, practiced mechanic. Because I've seen that in video games where you are attacked by an enemy and you're put into a stun lock, but you have to, you know, do a combo, a QT, if you will, to get out. Oh no. I am very sorry to hear, Sad Wings. Be a strong little lad. You okay? Okay, man, just take it easy. Hello Back says, it stuns only the movement, so if a guy with a gun gets caught, he can just shoot his captor. That's entirely possible. Having it be unique to different enemies and characters could open up a serious amount of interesting ways to deal with different types of stuns. Say you have, you know, this lad here, Whippy McWhip Pants, and he decides to whip you, and somehow it gets you stuck. And then if you have Waylon as a character, he just draws one of his little matchlocks that are already lit, and then just puts the little trigger down, and then shoots him. This little Whippy lad's going to be very sad because he's going to have a big crater in his body, which will be very unfortunate for him. But, you know, these things happen from time to time. Martin Calendar has become a silver miner. Thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate it. Remember, if you've donated or have been given a membership, that you should receive your rank in the Discord server, because this year is going to be a pretty big year for us. Big year for both the tabletop game and the video game. And so we're going to want closed testing to start happening the minute we're ready, not a moment before. But we want you guys on beck and call, basically. Same as it worked in Final Fantasy games when you did limit break moves. I've never played a Final Fantasy video game besides like the MMO one for like 5 minutes, so I don't really know. It feels horrible when you're stunned and you can't do anything but wait for it to be over. That's true. Giving the player an option to do something, anything, is generally something, you know, of note. For example, when you introduce an enemy, like this little man-catcher bro here with the little creepy mask, this broken little skull. He unfortunately broke the skull. You can see that it's stitched together. Very sad, you know, a bit clumsy. But the idea with that is that when you introduce this enemy, you'll introduce it in a way that is clever. So it'll either be a scripted event where it grabs a person, or it'll be a thing where, you know, you're sort of visually there's some visual storytelling already going on with this guy. Firstly, his goddamn weapon. That weapon screams, "Don't get near me." It could hurt quite a bit. There's also the factor of you can also be how units behave scripted wise. This guy might just sort of book it for you. Or he might try to get around the flanks and go for one of the casters and try to drag them away. Be it Aya or something of that nature. Not a bad idea. I was toying with the idea of scripts for the combat encounters for AI behavioral patterns, so we can get unique behavioral patterns for AIs based on what type of enemy we're fighting, be it a caster, be it some spear dudes, or be it, you know, this little catcher dude. Artemis Fowl donates a generous $5 to say the obvious action is just using a resistance mechanics where an attribute used too often in a row could cause the enemy to be immune, resistant, or resistant to it. That is entirely possible as well. There's also such things as hidden mechanics. And what I mean by hidden mechanics are things you don't see necessarily. Implementation of how the enemy's ability roster works, because the AI has their own ability roster in our game. Meaning, just like you, they operate by the same rules, except they might have some different abilities. Those abilities are still bound to the same rules, meaning cooldown timers are one of the big balance factors, because how we balance most abilities in our game is via a cooldown timer. They're simple, they are easy to understand, and it makes a lot of sense, especially for like matchlock based weaponry or a crossbow or any sort of spell casting that requires a lot of focus. That can be a great way to balance overpowered spells so that a caster cannot repeatedly cast that. We can basically implement a limit on how many times a AI can use an ability by also implementing that same thing, so it'll have to switch to a basic attack or something like that. Or it has a chance of the weapon being lost or broken in the process, meaning it no longer has access to that ability as well. Which is always an entirely interesting possibility there too. I try to keep my mind Andrew Jackson donates $3 say, please talk about the history of big watermelon waifu later, Mr. Kibs. Watermelon waifu, you mean Nezra, I assume. Nezra has the biggest melons of the bunch. Her portrait's actually next on the chopping block because she has a unique ability, and I will talk about her because you donated, so that this will be in this part of the VOD. So Nezra, if you didn't know, is the middle sister of Rhea and Aya. She is the daughter of Emperor Crondrius. She's also betrothed to a Cardovian prince. She's also being taught how to use Azak Runic, which is a very interesting magic system, which we haven't delved into too much, mostly because the mechanics for her aren't actually done yet, besides like the basic, super basic stuff. Basically, the idea behind the character, more or less, is that, because I want to test this a bit more before we implement it, is that she can put runes on different bolts, which do different effects. So her crossbow is more interesting than, I just shoot crossbolts, because that's kind of boring and not very interesting. Using different types of bolts or using different abilities with certain bolts might introduce different mechanics so that it's more than just it shoots crossbolts. I was going with the idea of also making her sort of the ability to go mid-range as well, just like her sister Rhea, but we'll see. We'll see, because generally most main characters you take control of have two weapons of a sort. Rhea has her blade. We also have another ability planned for her, but I can't talk about that right now because I want to keep them to wraps. But Aya, you know, because she has a matchlock pistol, and it pews, but it takes a while to reload. Hurts like a son of a bitch, though, if you get hit by it, because it ignores most armor. But, yeah, and that's for, like, mid to close, because those things fall off in terms of, you know, potency pretty quickly. Because, you know, early matchlocks, the ball bounces around, so when it exits the barrel, it sort of just goes wherever, which is not very good to accuracy. Because rifling, not really a concept yet, unfortunately. So Miss Melons is a stealth archer? Well, sort of. She uses a crossbow. I mean, not necessarily stealthy. Like, she's got a, what do you call it? A crook? I don't know, crook. It's like it's called a leg or something. We even have the art for it. It goes on her little belt. It's normally on her back, which is covered by a long piece of fabric that's sort of draped over her back, too. It's like a little hook that you sort of put on the crossbow, and you pull it up, and then it pulls the string back. It's to help her out, because she doesn't have the best strength when it comes to her muscles. She's still a lady who is not as strong as her sister Rhea, which is probably the strongest of the three, to be honest. I just shoot magic bolts, says Squealy. I just shoot. Pew, pew, pew. We have some other ideas too, but we don't want to get into all of them just yet. Mostly because I want to experiment with them. They're all, rule appliant to the magic system. A reload lever, kinda, but it's called like a crow's thing or a hoof or something. I don't remember. It's called something weird. I remember because when I was looking up how crossbows worked, I had to research this, and I've completely forgotten what it's called. This is like 90% of writing for anything. You have to research everything, and then you research and you're like, oh, okay. But basically, it's a reload lever. It's pretty cool. Do blunderbusses exist in this universe? Technically, yes, because, I mean, matchlocks are about, like, could be a blunderbuss, like, simple enough. Like, all it is a blunderbuss is a big barrel with a ton of stuff that you can sort of jam into it. A glorified shotgun, if you will, that you stuff things down. A goat's foot lever. I think that's the right one, Emu lad. Yes, I believe it's the goat's foot, I think. It's been a while since I've looked it up. But yes. Yeah, look at chat. They're racing each other. And thank you for the donations, by the way. But that's kind of the ideas behind Nezra. The first 3 characters we want to introduce into the combat build are Rhea, and then we're going to probably do Aya then Nezra, or Nezra then Aya, I'm not entirely sure. Really just depends on how they're implemented in what order, because they have very different styles to them. Then we'll do like a Rano, you know, and the Nadris, or, you know, Waylon or whatever. Because they all have very different functions. Because how I perceive the tactics game is I don't want too many, what's the word? Not necessarily duplicate classes, but when it comes to like the big named characters you take control of, all of them I want to be completely unique in how they perform and their weapon loadouts. Mostly because we can't afford to animate like 30 different weapons per character, so simply put, the characters themselves are just weapons. Yeah, that's the way I think about it, mechanically speaking. They're tools to be used. Chat's like, oh my god, that's so soulless. Ladies first, I see. Yes. Robert knows the story as to why, though. Well, the reason why we did ladies first is because, well, females were the first to be implemented into the art style when we were developing the terrestrian art style. Which, if you're familiar with this art style, it's sort of like a very much anime-inspired, but we're going for a sort of mixture of both retro, older, like anime style, but also trying to take some niceties from modern art direction, as well as modern details of Western art, as well as sort of like an oily, painty sort of look to it. So that it has this sort of painterly feel, sort of soft and warm. But it can look pretty nasty if we do some monsters, by the way. Like, it looks pretty cool. We just have yet to get to showing anything besides the Waymanses. You'll see in time, though. But we have a mixture of styles that we are applying to the universe that are sort of mixed and melded together. I think the big ones are like show style. Carlos's detail work has basically helped amplify the Eastern sort of art styles we have to give it more than just, you know, it's just anime titties. It's got a lot more going for it because we can do a lot more detail when it comes to the armor, when it comes to the layering, when it comes to the overall design choices. So we're trying to take inspiration from, but not just be that thing. We are trying to make our own thing. Celeste is best. Sharon is a man of many tastes, and apparently has a taste for Celeste. My god. Just, oh no, as they begin to dial the FBI. Oh, no. Good night, Moog Woods. Take care, little buddy. Protect the Celeste. Many in chat. They know not what they want. Looks good so far. Yeah, I think we're doing a pretty good job. The artists have done really good. Carlos has done a great job on these story panels. These story panels aren't supposed to be super detailed. They're actually supposed to be sketchy. This is actually probably done, in my opinion, because this is part of the storyboard for the lore video series for the Astrian Mythos. Now, this thing took a lot longer to develop than I thought it would. But at the same time, I'm also impressed with how it turned out. I'm not showing every panel. I'm only going to show this one. This is where we have Terrenos basically, not necessarily confronted by, but he's looking down upon a mortal, a Tempori. And the Tempori is mortally wounded, and he is cursing the gods because they have no sense of justice. He's doing that to the god of literal justice, by the way. This is a big moment for Terrenos right now. Because it's his realization that they have ultimately failed in their goals, or they are failing in their goals to watch over the Tempori. Tempori is just literally fucking Astrian for mortal, by the way. It literally doesn't mean, it's like Illumine. Illumine and Astria is literally magic. We use partial linguistics from Astria, but not entirely. Not entirely. The Astrian tongue is loosely based in like a light English with fucking a little bit of Greekabooism. Just a disgusting Greekabooism. Fine, I'll take Nezra, says Robert. Damn, Rhea is best girl. Truly, the thighs are divine. Commissar Zara can barely control himself. What, there are boys in this game? Yes, there are plenty of guys in this game, god damn it. You little muppet. Literally most of the characters are male. It's just we only are trying to get like the main line done, so the main female cast. God damn it. I have to go get them because literally no one's gonna believe me otherwise. But Kib, you're telling Kibbos or Kibble lies. Ooh, that's a penis. Now listen, I can explain. Chad's like, I don't know if you can. Listen, Chad, you have to believe me, Chad. You gotta believe Kib. Believe in the Kib that believe in the chat. Just believe in the Kib that believe in the chat. These are the biggest thinkies I've ever offered chat. Will chat handle these thinkies with grace? Or will this chat succumb to weebery, to memery? Yeah, I guess I can show you a bit more. You've been good lads. And to be fair, I've showed you some of these already, but some of this is unique, so you'll get to see a bit more today than perhaps you thought, you little bucket fish. Boop. Alright. You know, I don't know why it's always so zoomed out. No, we do have dudes. Where are they? Boop. 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 Okay, did I just not open the picture? Is that it? Oh, there we go. There we go. How's Vala? Look, you have Syra next to Aya. That's a girl. That's not a guy, though. To be fair, these are all super old versions of Corondrius and Nidus. Nidus looks way better. He looks sort of like a hobo in this one. But we do have males. This is from an earlier piece of art before we had actually finalized the design. So there's actually some inaccuracies here that were touched up later. Oh wow, Nezra's actually pretty accurate in terms of she has her little bolt pouch. Aya has her little belt buckle, but she doesn't have her little, pouch there. So there's a couple of things missing. But beyond that, it's not too bad, actually. It's actually pretty up to snuff. The armor gauntlet completely got overhauled because that was so... When we first started, that's so... just typical fantasy, didn't look real, so we had to basically bolster that up. The armor got complete overhauls since then. Nidus has the big upgrade of all of these characters, though. Nidus looks like an actual lad. Like, he looks so depressed. He was like, I'm sad. So poofy. Isn't Aya this girl? Yes, Aya is that girl. This is Aya. This is Rhea. This is Nezra. This is Crondrius. This is Syra. Crondrius is married to Syra, Emperor, Empress, and their Crondrius' elder brother, Nidus. Just Nidus? Nidus is pretty cool, but we haven't actually worked on him. Well, actually, no, we've worked on him a lot, but we've never shown you much. We've not shown you the other guys like Lenadris, Selenar, or you've seen Selenar and Lenadris, the two brothers of Concordia. And you've seen Ido, you've seen Garadric. We haven't finished the Archduke of Galay yet. He's old and sad. He's a... so many more characters to go. He looks like your hobo uncle. Yeah, basically, he does look like a hobo uncle. We touched him up. He looks a lot better now. Here. Let me go see if I can find upgraded Nidus. As a Nidus who doesn't look like a hobo. Because he does look like a fucking hobo. It's like, hello, I am hobo uncle. God damn, we work on so much stuff. You know what? We'll take a detour real quick. Take a squeak peek at that. Yeah, this is when the gauntlet upgrades had happened, by the way. Her armored arm. When we actually gave it proper armoring and it looked real. Just like, wow, look at all those armor pieces. They fit together. And this, the reason why these are the way they are is actually because of the animation. By the way. In terms of it actually how it's animated. Celeste not born yet? Okay, where's Celeste? Celeste is not related to their family. I can tell you that much. Just like, what? Why does 80% of the characters have red and peach-colored hair? Though, has this been addressed? Yes, it has. I can actually tell you that, Nananon. That's House Vala. They all have Illumine, with the Illumine trait for the Astrians, and the Astrians' Illumine trait generally is reddish or blondish hair. Astrians themselves are actually brown-haired. They're brownish or blackish hair. Like, most Astrians have brown and black hair. In fact, 90% of Astrians in the Astrian region have brown and black hair. Only the Templar or the priests that have Illumine or House Vala have that hair color. That is a completely unique genetic trait. Same goes for the eye mutations. Celeste is a villain from a rival family. Let me put it this way, chat. I can tell you this much. Celeste is a character we've introduced you to. Nobody that we've shown you thus far knows who or what even a little tiny Celeste is to begin with. Just like, what the fuck? A little bit of a sippy. See, I think my voice is starting to clear up a little bit. Cancelled. Brother Strato donates $5. Say, enjoying the progress. Keep it up, bud. Well, thanks for the support, Strato. Couldn't do it without you guys. Literally, this progress is all on you guys, so be sure to give yourselves all pats on the back. Whether you donate, whether you don't, doesn't matter. The fact that you are here now is support enough. It is support enough. But yeah, so that's the reason why they are the way they are, and why they look that way. It's a unique trait, and there are different traits for different ones. Like, you know, there might be some with funny noses, you know, there might be some with funny eyebrows. Bushy eyebrows like Mentats, I don't know. I'm just making up stuff, by the way. She be a time traveler. There's no time travel, you silly patet name. Celeste is a nobody who live in the sewer. I'll just ignore Albine for the rest of his life. Just too much talking to voice actor today, Kibs? No. Actually, I haven't spoken to them too much at all, actually. I'm going to be doing that tonight. Tonight, I'm going to be working on the sample lines for Rhea, Aya, and Nezra. And not only will we be finishing up the sample lines, but we'll be assigning those to all 3 of the voice actresses, getting their recordings for all 3 characters. Now, if you're like, Kibs, how are you going to have all 3 of them play the same character? They're not. We're going to determine which one's best for which role. And by the best way to do that is to have all 3 of them do all of those characters and see which ones fit which place better. That's kind of the idea there. And so that's what we're going for. Man, Ted, like the drug from Fallout? God damn it. I was making a Dune reference. Promise me not to make time travel a focal point of your story, Kibs. I mean, time is a focal point in our story. Time travel, on the other hand, not really. I mean, if you want to talk about, like, the passage of time, going forward in time, as in, like, you know, right now it's 3:59, in a couple minutes it'll be 3:50 or 4:01. Like, that's the kind of time travel that'll happen. You know, the clock going forward. They might talk about things in the past, but no time travel. That's ludicrous. It's literally that's one thing I will tell you guys from the lore Bible. One of the only things I'll probably tell you. Or one of the few things. Most of that stuff is for my use and our writing team only, not your guys's. Mostly because it's just like basic logistic stuff. But the laws of time are that time flows forward and no events can be undone. Meaning if an event has happened or transpired and something has happened, then it goes forward. Like that's it. Like if Aya dies, chat, in the game, she's not going to magically come back to life. I mean, unless you can somehow put her soul back in her body before her body dies. But if her body dies and is like brain dead, yeah, it doesn't matter. Because there are souls. It's just, you can't stuff it back into a dead thing. It doesn't work anymore, chat. I mean, theoretically you could, but let's just say it's not going to be alive anymore. Just, my God, that means zombies. So does this mean Iron Man mode? Yeah, basic. I mean, that's how we're going to write. We're writing the universe in Iron Man mode. Meaning any decisions you make are kind of decisions that just happen. Now, if you want to reload and change a decision you made in the video game, yeah, that's fine. It's a video game. You can do whatever you want. You can restart the game even. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know. Just, wait, what are you talking about? Kibber's killing Aya. My God. Just like necromancy exists. Yes, I might have just soft confirmed that for like the 30th time, but people will still be like, oh my god, it's for real. We do have the dead thingies. The undead Wriggly Wrigglies, chat. Like Wriggly Wriggly. This is another panel from the mythos lore of the Astrians. This is when the gods were waging a glorious battle. Well, more like a glorious war against the Colossi. Or, as chat have seen to start calling them, Colossusi. Colossusi? I don't know. It's very cringe. And you know you're bad, and you should feel bad. Basically, giant autists. Feel bad for them, chat. They're the real victims here. All they wanted to do was amuse themselves. The tragic tale of amusement. There's God King Orestios trying to reason with the gods. Or not the gods, they're the gods. Derp, the Colossi. Duh. Kibs' name's always been hard. Gets me brother's names mixed up all the time. Gets his own lore mixed up. God damn. That's why I have assistant writers. They're there to beat me when I fuck up. Chance of, giant baby mans. Giant. That's honestly like how I view them. They're a bit special. They're kind of interesting. But only kind of. Just like, wow. Where necromancy exists necrophiles. It's good to see you have your priorities set straight. The big thing for this month is trying to wrap up the art for the mythos video. And so you can understand the Astrian mythos. Now these took a lot of time to make. And you're like, oh, Andrew Jackson donated $3 saying NSFW lines for Ezra Wen. I think you mean Nezra. What is her personality? Nezra's personality. Should I tell you now or later? I mean, it's one of those things like you're gonna have to experience the game more so than like just me telling you. I can sort of tell you it, but I wouldn't do it justice. Like, yeah, I don't know. Thank you for the donation. Nezra's definitely the quieter of the two. Aya is the chattiest of them, if that makes sense. Chat immediately like, okay, turn Aya volume to low. She can't help it. She's just energetic, okay? Sort of like Jar Jar. It's like, no. Got him. Yes, Aya's the chattier one. She's the youngest and she's the more energetic. She's the little social butterfly. Nezra's sort of the does her own thing. She mingles, meanders about, but you know, is kind of left to her own devices. So Kibs, how close is the games to complete? Not close to completion at all. However, what is close though is that gosh darn combat build. That's the big thing we're aiming for. Remember, we have a shoestring budget, chat. We have whatever you give us. And if we give us a lot, we have a lot for like a month. Whatever gets us progress, right? In the first lore video, I saw there were mentions of giant shellfish pack animals who were retconned to not be able to leave the water because of physics. Level of autism and creativity impressed. Yes, they were. I originally had it so that the giant sea grubs could actually come out of the water and they could like rear, but then I was like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Because like I was writing it was like 1 a.m. and Bubbles' next day was like, you do know crustaceans couldn't like get out of the water like that, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, like their physical mass wouldn't allow for that. So yeah, no, we had to change that. The idea is that the universe is grounded, but it has fantastical things. Crabs, like little river crabs, can get out of the water because they're strong enough to. But a sea crab, sea crab can't exit the ocean. Sea crab will die. Sea crab will literally just lay there and be like, I giant, but I also can't move. More crab lore. More. It started as a joke and then they became crabs. What's a crab? Well, you see, the terrestrial world has crabs. Crabs are tiny. Crabs are not tiny. There's a whole reason to how they got their name even. Oh my god. Oh, the combat build will probably only be around a quarter of the full game. Well, the combat build won't be at all a portion of the game, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, mechanically, it'll be actually, like, about a third of the game's mechanics, if that makes sense, will be coded. Because then we have the, you know, the minigame stuff, which is last, by the way. So, the combat build, the dialogue build, which dialogue build should be just easy. Dialogue build includes, like, dialogue, bartering, talking, accepting quests. All of those mechanics are in the dialogue build. That's the idea. And afterwards, the overworld build. So those are the two core builds. Then there's the first quote-unquote mini game, but it's not really a mini game. It's the warfare mode. Warfare mode is large-scale combat based off the tabletop game, where you actually control actual, like, you know, cohorts and stuff. Big blocks of dudes that go and bonk each other with sticks. And you can summon giant Helions and stuff like that. And various ethereal entities. There's a whole system for war spells and how war spells work, because war spells are a bit different than regular casting, and there's a whole fucking thing about how war spells work and why war spells aren't even accessible outside of it, and it's quite a bit of lore, actually. I don't really want to get too much into that, but you'll see it when we actually get the warfare mode done. Well, actually, the warfare mode, you'll see the mechanics. You won't see the lore for that. It'll be more mechanical testing. But you might be able to deduct a few things, actually. It's probably gonna... Yeah, no, I think you could probably figure it out if you pay attention. Because the animations will show you. We should start calling Kibs Krubs instead. Oh no. You're just mad because you wish you was a Krub. He's like, yeah, a little bit. Krubs are giant crabs that live on the bottom of the terrestrial ocean. Specifically, the North Mariam Ocean has a lot of them. And the South Mariam a little bit. The South Mariam ones can be infected with the parasite, though, which are kind of grimy and gross. And it doesn't look pretty when it infests anything, to be honest. We based it off of some underwater parasites that I had researched. And grossed myself out, too, a few times writing. Big blocks of muscular, hairy dudes who bonk each other with their sticks. Abaddon, this sounds like your words, not mine. He's like, Abaddon fantasizes about this frequently. Can you eat the crabs? That's a good question. We'll have to get to the cooking minigame. No kidding. You have no idea how desperately Sala wants there to be a cooking minigame, though. That's kind of funny. It's a cab cooking minigame. It's like, Sala, like, one thing at a time. If we have time, maybe. No cooking mini. See, now you don't want to get a rook. Now I want it. Oh no, Mythical says yes. The thing is with mini games is they should always be optional and never be something you have to do. Just like the fishing mini game, which because of a goal that was reached a long time ago, and you got the fact that you guys continue to fund the project, there will be a fishing mini game, and you know there will be some Easter eggs you'll be able to fish up. Ooh, excuse me, I have the hiccups. George Rex says, tell Robinski to put his streams into a playlist. I probably could do that for him, the developer streams, and do that on my channel, and create a playlist for him on my channel, which would have his videos that would direct to his channel. But yes, Robin Man has been programming away our game a lot, chat. It's actually thanks to you that we're able to give people more mun-muns. I want cooking now. Look at that, get a rook cut. You see how the YouTube chat wants it? They should never be the path to the best in-game gear either. Well, you're giving me ideas now, Haircut. He's like, ah! It's like, should have kept my fat mouth shut. I'm kidding. Hold on a second. I need to close that window thingy-majiggy. Because the sun is starting to move and now it blinds me. There we go. Start hissing. No, the thing is, like with the fishing minigame is I have to figure out what the fuck that even does mechanically to the game that makes it worthwhile doing. These things should be optional. They should give you bonuses, but they should never be necessary to playing the game. Can we fish up a chat fishing game? Probably. Literally, we own the chatfish. We made them. Specifically, Giggles was the one who drew a fan art of a chatfish. Giggles will even be his own chatfishy. Going to be similar to Morrowind, worms, where the face gravity opens up and the worm protrudes out. What? Matt Blankenbacher donates a very generous $20. Say, where's the dating simulator in your roadmap? And what will it cost? It being non-H is negotiable. Wow. Making a dating simulator as like a thing, the problem is that it's not conducive to the story because there's no PC. Just like, so let me explain real quickly. In the original script, way back in 2018 or 17, I'd written the game around the idea that there was a custom-made player character and you could choose his background and stuff like that, or his or her, or whatever. The issue with that was that it was not very good to introducing you to the setting, and it sort of just kind of was like, hey, player character, why don't you do X thing? Instead of doing player character does X thing, it's instead you follow a core party, sort of like an epic, more inspired by Tolkien than anything else. Sort of like the Fellowship and the story of the Fellowship. That was, I think, the biggest inspiration I had from Tolkien, is the idea, not necessarily that there's a fellowship at all, actually, but the idea that there's a party of characters, and these party of characters are going on an epic journey to do something I can't quite tell you. For all you know, fight the evil bad and drop a ring down a volcano. Just like, nah, just copy. I'm kidding. You'll get like an orbital fleet and you'll bombard the planet with that instead. Okay, that makes a little bit less sense. Each fish you find has a donor name on it. That's actually probably what we're gonna do. Probably, to be honest. Probably, I say probably a lot because I'm going to, and just again, I say probably to make it, you know, ambiguous as if will I do it, but you know, it's more like we will. But yes. So is there any info when the game will be playable and what gameplay will be like? Homepage is just angry anime girls and free loot 3D models. Hey, there's some non-loot stuff too. This is mostly a criticism of the homepage. Yes, no, that's fair. The homepage and website will be updated with the game. In fact, that'll be the place where you actually eventually can download the game to begin with. Because how I'm going to probably have it work, chat, is this is how it's probably going to work out. I have to talk to Programmer Boys about this when we get closer. But before, let's answer the first question. So, game is already playable right now. However, it's not in a state I want you to see it yet. Now, when you'll be able to play it will actually be maybe, and again, the big hope is this summer. This summer is the closed combat prototype, which means that closed testing will happen. And so the idea is that people will be able to play it who've already donated. That can be like a bit or $1. Now, closed testing, by the way, is not something that you should rush for or anything like that, because it'll be a very basic, primitive combat build to begin with. But you'll there be able to determine what kind of game it is very quickly. We'll also be streaming it too when it reaches that point too. It technically already is being streamed. If you're curious, if you watch Robin's streams, I always tell people that. But to be fair, I know it's a lot of coding, but you'll actually see him manipulate things in the world and the editor and like the shadows and stuff. It's just, it might not be the most, you know, glorified, exciting thing, but you literally see it come together. How to get to the website? Open up the description, and then in the description there's a website called Battle Damage Studios near the top. That'll take you to the website. We have free STL files for miniatures and some other stuff. I don't want to go too crazy on the website development, mostly because I wanted to get the website and its basic functionalities up, and then I want to basically get what's the word? Like more focus on the combat prototype, because the combat prototype is the big goal. That's why we have BAs that we just recruited, and that's what I'm going to be doing tonight, is getting them their test voice lines so we can get test voice lines for the game, for the combat build specifically. Because I want all the voices, I want all the sounds, I want all that stuff, I want the music. Robin's already got that, or Robert, sorry, he's got that covered. And, you know, my fucking voice today. And basically that. God, hold on. I need to get myself more tea. I don't know why, but I'm having a hard time talking today. Like, I don't feel sick. I feel pretty okay, guys, but I just... Speaking is a little taxing. And I woke up with a horrific headache, but I don't really know why. And I ate food, and I drank, you know? There's water. So it's not like hunger or anything like before. I just woke up feeling weird. Not Steam. Epic. What are you talking about, Present? OMG, can you close that stream? What? What's Robin's YouTube Kib? Oh, I'll show you. You guys need to check these streams out, by the way, if you want to see behind the scenes stuff about the programming. Because it's really insightful if you actually want to make video games yourself. At the bottom. Come on. Oh, it adds them based on people who I've added. Okay, at win point. I was like, this feels weirdly laid out. Robin Man stream. He also streamed video games too. When he takes breaks and stuff. Today he streamed... Or he's streaming Last Epoch right now if you want to check him out. Reban. Oh god, that's right. He doesn't have his channel organization. Oh, I yelled at him about this. So, here, 7 hours ago, he streamed 3 hours and 20 minutes of working on our game. I'm just going to open this up and I'll mute it, so you have to listen to it if you want to actually watch it. But, like, he goes through the code of our game, and you can see our composer pops on there. And I normally say hello in the mornings, too. Let's see if we can... I don't actually know what he was working on too much today. I didn't have too much time to look. But here, you can actually see... Like, he's working on still how characters exit buildings, what layers... Wow, he's getting really fucking good, though. I'm looking forward to... I feel like I'm spoiling myself because I like to wait till Saturday because I always feel like there's the most progress. But if you've been following the game, like, okay, so one thing is, like, the buildings, right, are a big deal because in our game, the zones are fully loaded, meaning that if you go to a zone, be it, like, you know, the northeastern gate section of Pyria, that section fully loads in, which means it loads in the buildings, and any buildings that are interactive are designed interiors, meaning you can interact with and go inside of them and explore them and whatnot. You can also basically fight inside them. So the game itself is actually the same thing. So the design idea was that the combat world and the world that you explore in is the same world. Sort of like, a good example would be like Witcher 3, right? Where you're walking around and all of a sudden you bump into some monster and you fight them and you kill them, right? Our game is basically kind of like that, where you just walk around in these zones that we sort of pre-designate, not like a large open world, but a pre-designated zone, sort of like a BioWare game, like in Mass Effect or like Knights of the Republic, where it's like, oh, you know, you're this section of Tatooine. Ours are going to be a little bit bigger, maybe a lot bigger, technically, than theirs, because theirs are a lot smaller. More like Divinity Original Sin, but maybe not as crazily large as that. Really depends on quality of content, because each zone is constructed around the core idea of what that region is, the core quests, and then it's constructed with the secondaries in mind. The idea narratively and mechanically, I don't know if this makes a lot of sense, but I think this might ring a bell for some of you. The idea is that the game is constructed with the core focus being on the central story, so that the central story is well thought out and well fleshed out, and so the central story is the main thing you're going to care about the most. Odds are. Because it's the thing that carries the characters through the storyline. Then there's the secondaries. Secondaries are, you know, different side quests related to characters along that journey that you can bump into and stuff. Those are tethered to that zone. So characters are tethered to each zone. So if we ever, for whatever reason, can go back to that region again, we can do different stuff with that because we have compartmentalized the writing for that. Because in the terrestrial world, people don't really travel that much. In fact, not that many people travel from Astria to anywhere else because, well, it's very expensive, and it takes, like, months and months to do. Kibs demands you care. Well, I'm going to try to earn your care. I don't demand it. I merely do my best to see if I can get people to care. Because as a game developer and designer and writer, the one thing you have to remember is that you are not owed anyone's care. You're not owed anyone's time. You're not owed anyone's money. These are things you must earn. And I'm very happy that people have actually started to donate to this project and help me with this. Because this is very much a passion project. This is everything to me. This is like my thing. This is the thing. I guess you could say it's like my magnum opus. It's like my life's work, if that makes sense. This is the greatest thing I will ever be. If it is to be great, that is. You know? I put it above myself. It is the one big thing for Kib. And that's kind of the core focus of it. That's kind of all it is. So I try to put as much work into it as I possibly can and ensure it's the best quality. That's why the team, I consider them basically my other family. They are my family. I care about them deeply. There's no one else I'd rather work on this with than my team. They're good people. Every one of them, through and through. But yeah. So that's kind of the idea there. Get out of here, you epic. Don't you besmirch my stream with your cringe. So yeah, he's working on it. But Robin's streams are actually really cool and very insightful. He also has a lot of interesting ideas on things, too. You should definitely check him out. He may be, you know, Swedish, but just like, wow. What if it fails? Well, simply put, how do I word this? Failure is not really an option, if that makes sense. In the sense that we don't have the luxury of failure, because failure on that, in regards to the project, would mean that we'd stop working on it. This project doesn't stop. This is a life project, meaning this game, its goal is to get done, so we can work on the next game and the line, but this is a universe we're building. This is a new IP we're building. This is going to be the very best we can do, and I know for a fact that all of my team members, my programmers, my artists, my animators, and my musicians, and our voice actresses and actors at some point, I know that they're giving it their all, and I trust them for that. And it's thanks to you guys that I can ensure that they're giving their all, because how do you get people to, you know, invest money? If he dies, he dies. Kibs Draco. God damn it. Game launch, Kib life work done, Kib fall over. Well, the idea is that I've actually constructed the entire Mixer's IP, actually, entirely. I've been working on this since elementary in 3rd grade. Granted, those versions and iterations are just garbage, but throughout middle school and high school, I refined it, and then it was still garbage. But by the time I'd gotten out of high school, I think things really started to be fleshed out. Because the 3rd edition Mixer's IP stuff is basically the edition. Like, that is the one we're running with. It's the setting that it has really, truly, I think, grown into its own roots. It took a decade to do. And it'll take a lot longer, too. Boog tries to correct him. He says, eat fuego. That's the spirit, Taco Man. But yeah, you should definitely check out Robin Man streams. Robin streams can be found via my channel homepage at Rabonsky. These are pretty good streams. What else do you do today? Anytime he works on the game and makes things wiggle, it's always cool. He waddled away, didn't he? He did. But yeah, it's cool to see the inside of the code and how it works. The other thing that's being worked on is also the tabletop stuff. Fairbear and Smashton are leading the charge on that. And if you didn't know, Smashton's a part of the developer team. He is one of the voice actors for the project, narrators, and he's also one of the tabletop game designers. It's actually such a relief that Fairbear and Smashton took over the tabletop stuff, because it was getting to the point where Kibs was definitely, I think, at wit's end. Like, I was reaching a point, guys, where I was, like, burning out bad. Working on this project has been stressful, I'll say that much. As the project continues to grow, the importance of learning how to delegate becomes increasingly important. Learning who to delegate certain roles to is also important, because I am merely one person. I'm not going to be the only thing that makes this project good, and I hope to God not, because if that's the case, then the art and everything else is going to flounder, and then nobody will even bother to look, because people do judge by the cover. Gotta have good everything. Everything must be the best we can do with what we have. Plain why his head is a microphone. Yeah, basically. But if you didn't know, Smasher is a part of the team, too. But yeah, so we're making lots of grounds with that. Lots of progress, which is all coming along very, very, very nicely. I just hope that you guys are appreciating the stuff we're doing, or at least liking it. I know it can seem like it takes a long time, but we only have so much resources. We're definitely doing the best we got with what we have, which is honestly quite a bit thanks to you guys. In fact, I actually think that this is going to be a really good year thanks to you guys. And despite us losing our job, and us, maybe me, it seems like this has actually all worked out for the better so far. Because as it stands now, we have a really good chance of truly developing something unique, creating some new IP, some new universe, some new setting to explore. Not only explore, but also make together. Because we have built this as a community for sure. Thanks to chat's donations and chat's updates and suggestions, we always improve. This music part of the game, yes. Every track you've listened to today is actually from the official soundtrack. Produced by our actual composer. Sung by our singer. Just what? Naked Light says, I think you took on too big of a project as the first one. That is definitely an extremely, extremely valid criticism. But that is actually something I was well aware of even before doing this. Because a long time ago, around the high school point, I realized something. I realized that I don't have enough time to finish what I need to finish and do what I need to do for this project to make this project good. I can't go through official channels to do it. I'm gonna have to go indie because it's the only thing it's the only place to go. No, it's not being negative, Mr. Cornell. No, it's actually pretty valid criticism. If anything, this project is huge. Like he understands that. He can see that. That's important to know. Because it's huge. It's big. This is a huge project. But the thing is, I know I have the willpower to do it. That's the one difference. And I know because of what we have now, we have the resources to do it. Not all in one go, not instantly, but we can actually get there because we have built a YouTube channel. We have built a source of revenue to actually grow. Now, the Legend of Terrestrial project is actually not that big in terms of its actual scope and scale, but what it is it's actually a foundation. It's a foundation for the projects to be built off of as well. But it's also extremely important because it also needs to be good. It can't be like, oh, it's just a tech demo. That worked out really well for Crisis, didn't? Actually did. But no. It is a big project, and we know what we know what we're doing. We know it's big. We are building a brand new IP. This was never going to be. It's huge, yeah, that's the stuff, Book. It's a huge project. Like, this thing is huge. We're building a new IP. There's no way around it. There is no shortcuts here. There is no smaller projects. There is only forward. Not one step back. Just, oh no, there's a gun cocks behind them. That is the important thing to take away from all this. Because we will succeed. Because we have a community that backs us, and because we have the resources to do so. And I have everyone on the team behind it as well. We're all in it to fucking win it, boys, and we're gonna win it. We're playing the long game, but it's a long game we can win. Because this year is gonna be a big year. The tabletop stuff is already rolling along very nicely. The test armies are complete army list-wise, and thanks to Smasher and Fairbear's good work. They've already been queued. The soldier art is being produced. The miniatures are being made. The rule set for that is being made. It's going to be the first thing out. It's going to be out before a video game is, because tabletop games are actually really easy to make by comparison. Now, not to dissuade tabletop games being hard to make, by the way, because mechanically speaking, oh boy, you can't just make a tabletop game on like a willy-nilly. You need a team of people. Those rules cannot be, you can't just sort of like throw mud at a wall and like, oh yeah, that'll definitely show Warhammer 40k. That'll not work out. Because A, you're trying to compete with somebody that already does something better than you. You gotta build something new. This is something I've been trying to tell my fellow indies for a while. And I know that people are very passionate about the settings you guys care about. But remember, if you're gonna start your own project and make your own thing, remember this, and remember this well. You will never be better at being Star Wars or at being whatever IP insert blank here than they are at being themselves. Just be you. Make what you want to make. If you want to make a tactical turn-based role-playing fantasy game like I'm making, awesome, do it. Knock yourself out. More people the merrier. The genre's basically dead anyways. We could use more friendos. Or you could just copy 40k but not make it gay. The problem with copying things is you're not going to get anybody's interest because people are investment. So that's actually, it's an interesting thing you bring that up, Martin. And this is for a whole other side tangent. But if you copy something like, I'm going to make a grimdark setting in science fiction universe, but it's going to be, you know, you got to be, okay, the grimdark, you know, that's a genre, setting, science fiction, okay. How are you going to make yours yours? Why should I, who, let's pretend, bought 5 billion pieces of useless plastic garbage, why should I throw away my plastic trash? Because it's trash, no kidding. But why should I throw away this huge investment I have into this IP and switch to yours? That never works. Because you're never going to succeed because I already have an investment. You need to bring people over. What I'm building is completely unique. It's not Warhammer Fantasy. It's not Star Wars. It's not Nier. It's not anything I can actually think of. I can't even name anything. I can name things that are similar. Like, Advanced Wars reminds me of our game. Fire Emblem kind of does. Divinity Original Sin in a way does. Like, BioWare RPGs sort of do. If, you know, you just take away our game's combat system and replace it with, like, a basic bitch one. But, like, that's kind of like that, you know? Like, you can easily compare things. But it's important that when you look at what you're making, it's not just that thing. Because if it's just that thing, you're going to lose in the end anyways. Because nobody's going to switch. And that's one of the big problems. You should throw away because you've been doing money on plastic crap. Ha ha ha. Very funny, Abaddon. Very fun. You little shit. Greeks in space. See, that's actually unique. That's ridiculous, but it's something. Let me give you an example of something that actually did something like that. Are you familiar with the Endless series? If not, you should look it up. There's an Endless fantasy game called Endless Legends, and there's also a game called Endless Space. Endless Space 2 introduced the Vaulters from Endless Legends into Endless Space 2 as a faction. What are the Vaulters? They're just Vikings. They're space Vikings. There you go. Basically, just like, whoa, Vikings in space. They literally board people with fucking laser axes in space. It's not been done too much, I'll say that much. But that's just to say, you know, try to make things your own. But also, you need to be good at oration. Not necessarily oration, but you need to get your stuff out there. You need to be brave, you need to be bold. I'm showing you my stuff early. If you had asked me, like 7 years ago, or maybe 7 or... yeah, about 7 or 6 years ago. Like, Kibs, hey, can I see, like, the latest eye portrait? I'd be like, no. Or maybe even a little bit longer than that, like 8. I'd be like, no, I would never show you anything. Because I'd be like, no, everything stays under wraps. Because I don't want to show you guys anything. Because I was too... like, it's a thing you have to get over. You need to be willing to show people, but you also need to understand what not to show. There's so much stuff I'm sitting on in the dev server that I have not shown you guys. And will not show you for a very long time. Because if I do... it'll undermine what I'm actually building. Because you'll be like, oh, okay, that's going to happen. I'm like, damn! I'll just throw rocks at you. I'm in the process of making some original 3D animated content for YouTube, says Negative Light, and your attitude inspired me to keep working on it. Well, you shouldn't ever give up on something you're passionate about. Remember this, and remember this well. Even if your project doesn't generate revenue, my game doesn't make any goddamn penny. My game just cost me money to develop. My game literally eats all of my money. I could literally have had a home by now. I could have had a home and like nice things in that home. I've chosen to have an apartment, and I've chosen to have all these little things because you know what? I care more about this project more than anything else, because this is the thing I care about more. It's all about how much you want to invest, whether you want to invest money, whether you want to invest time. Either way, it's an investment to make. You don't need to invest money in order to get this. You can actually just start drawing to get this. I'm referencing this picture, by the way. If you want to make art like this, if you're like, wow, Aya's so cute, I'd really like to draw her, you know, naked or whatever. Or I'd really like to draw her wearing, you know, a sombrero and having a mustache. Like, you can do that. All you gotta do is learn how. You learn how to control print screen, then you learn how to draw a mustache with the paint tool onto Aya, and then you copy and paste a sombrero on top of her head. And bada bing, bada bam. You made a thing. You can make anything if you set your mind to it, whether it's stupid and small, or whether it's stupid and big, or whether it's really stupid and really big. You just have to be willing to have the willpower to do it. No matter how impossible that task may seem, you will achieve your goals if you set your heart and your mind to the task at hand, and you understand what it is you're trying to achieve. I understand that the Mixers project is one of the most ambitious projects I could probably ever do with my life, to be honest. This is huge. This project is giant. For me. I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, it's the biggest thing in the world. For me, this is the biggest thing I think I could ever do. Like, this is hard. Like, this is very hard. It's requiring, like, all engines burning. Like, I stream every day to make money because I hope chat will donate to the project, you know. And that's what I set my mind to. Like, okay, I'll stream. Streams make money. Money in turn gets invested on the game. Game gets further along with that investment. Keep streaming. Keep working on game. Keep making money, keep investing, keep going, keep trying to grow the channel. Repeat, 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 repeat ad nauseum. Again and again and again. And you will see how massive, how colossal that changes. Where that mountain that seemed impossible, that everyone you knew told you was impossible, because a lot of people told me what I was doing now is impossible, and a lot of them, I don't know that many of them anymore, because I don't really, associate with people that are no can doers, because that kind of mentality, I mean, you just sort of mope about and never get anything done. You need to put yourself to the task. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to force yourself to do things you don't want to do. You're going to have to take sacrifices. You're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. You're going to have to play Dota, or like a game you don't want to do. Or it might be more than that. You might have to, say cringy things at the end of your streams because you were paid to. But you know what? You're going to do those things because you know all that money and all those resources, or all that task, all that sacrifice mounts up to something that's worthwhile. Whether this project succeeds today or tomorrow or next week or next month is irrelevant. All that we have now is the task at hand. And don't think about any time you make a mistake in terms of like giving up. Because if I had given up when I made my first mistake, I would never have gotten this far. I will fail again. There's no doubt in my mind. Because I'm only human. I'll fuck up. You'll fuck up. We'll all fuck up. But here's the thing that makes us different than everyone else. This is what sets us apart from the greater good of the rest of humanity. We get back up. We get back out there. And we get back to work. We don't stop. We keep going. We keep our head up, heart down, chin up, and we go forward. It may not be easy, but you'll get it done. I've seen every one of my artists do it. I know they can. I've seen Sala struggle. I've seen Sala break. I've seen Carla struggle and break. I've seen everybody on the team break down at some point because like something was hard or something was like extremely taxing. But we get through it together. We stick with it. We go through the motions. We figure out how to tackle the problems. We rotate artists. We, cycle out, to different tasks. And we win in the end. And that's the important part. It's not going to be easy, chan. But that's the important part. Because if it was easy, I wouldn't do it. Actually, I probably would, because I'm kind of autistic and I kind of want to make this. But you get what I'm saying. Welcome to stream, Fractal Jack. Barbarians R Us has been a member for 22 months in a row as a sulfur miner. Thank you for your long-term support. I really appreciate it. Oh, man, dude. I mean, guys, if we can continue to grow this channel, if we can continue to gain this revenue and get this project further and further, this year, we just got to hold down the fort. We get to that closed combat prototype. People start to see the game. People start to play the game. People start to play the tabletop stuff. Things start to come together and things become tangible. That's the big thing for me. That's been the biggest thing for me for a while now. Tangibility. I want you guys to be able to have it, to touch it, to play with it. That sounds really bad, out of context, but I mean the game. You know what I mean, chat? Just, no. That's the idea, though. The ability for it to be tangible. No longer just a dream, no longer just an idea, but to be real. Fair bear never breaks. You can't break what's already broken. Fair broken. Green Branch has been a member for 14 months as the power of the chatfish is on level with the P90. That's true. That is very true. It's actually thanks to chat that you guys are literally the people that actually believed in me the most. Like, out of anyone else, besides my parents, because my parents are good, and like my close friend group. Because my parents have always been supportive, always. But, you guys have also been there with me through most of this journey. And it's not been easy. We've had our ups and downs, but you guys have stuck with me. And I want you to know that despite all the little sassy things you guys say, I'm glad you guys are here with me. I'm glad we could share this journey together. Because I think this is just the beginning. This'll be very cool in time, chat. Just you wait and see. Just wait. But I already have to wait. Oh, God. The other day, somebody told me, like, Kibs, it's torture waiting for the game to come out. I'm like, you know my pain too. You know? Every day is torture for me. Every goddamn day. We gotta get there, chat. And that's why we keep going. Don't worry, chat. I'll ensure that undergarments are removed. Just like, what? You're welcome, chat. You can thank me later. Just thinking like, what could Kib mean by that? That's Kibs. Oh, whoa. You're growing soft in your old age, Kibs. Oh, I haven't grown soft. If anything, I've grown much stronger. When I was younger, I was far too soft. Too pliant, too squishy. Like butter over too much bread. Just like, what? I can't believe in you. Oh my God, that's Kringitzer. I hear the deer. Yes, that is Little Pancake. She sang this song. Oops. Nezra Booba chat. Like, whoa! I'm like, whoa! The little thing. Tan lines Anaya. Indeed. Look at Nezra. She's playing in the water, chat. What is she doing looking at her reflection? You know, there's a lot to be said about the character. I wonder how many people read into this. Because when Sho draws these, she puts a lot of soul and heart into it, too. Sho does fantastic work. And this one turned out really good. Damn, I love our artist so much, guys. See, why I want to grow the channel, by the way, and why I want this year, like, our channel needs to get bigger. Because if we can keep generating more and more revenue, I want to give everyone more and more work. I want to switch the entire team to full-time at some point. You have any idea how much I desperately yearn for that? To work on that, to get them working full-time. If we could do that, do you have any idea how much progress that would be? And I think you do. I think you do. Because a lot of this recent progress... Oop. Oh, it's because I zoomed in. Like, these things are because of the recent influx of donations. So we've just been able to get things done a lot faster. The Furic Slave, you know, Catcher Bro, the Whip Bro, stuff like that. Barbarian or Us donates a generous $10. Say, I can't think of anything funny or witty to say. Here's money. Well, regardless, thank you for the donation. Matt Blankenbacher donates $20. Say crusty crub. Oh my god, I swear to god, the crub is going to become this thing that'll haunt me to my grave. The crubs. They're pretty fucking cool, by the way. You haven't even seen... Actually, no, I think some of you might have seen crab art. You haven't seen the ocean crabs, though. They're so cool. I have so many cool ideas. I can't tell you. You'll see, chat. You'll see. You'll be like, oh my god, Kibs, that was the coolest crub thing I've ever crubbed in my crub. And I'll be like, you'll understand. You'll understand in time, chat. No, this is Kibrick. Oh my fucking god, sir. I swear to Christ. I love you guys so much, but I also hate you. You always make me smile, chat. Oh, the chatfish emojis only make it worse. Wanna become famous all for your stream art? Trix Uwu says. Well, Trix Uwu, you're a bot on Twitch. Let me just ban you real quick. Let me just give you the little ban hammer. Let's just... How about we just do a little ban. And then we just ban that other bot too. God damn. Ban. Ban that one too. There. Bot's gone. Drug make taste good. Fucking chat, what? You're all special, chat. Oh my god. No. I actually never watched SpongeBob System, but really? I liked SpongeBob even in fucking middle school and high school. Like, I remember watching my little bros and being like, ah, SpongeBob's on. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. SpongeBob had the perfect level of retardation that I could appreciate. But let's be real. Samurai Jack, chat, and the Star Wars Clone Wars micro series. Now that's where that was at. Those are my like favorite shows. Courage the Cowardly Dog was a good one. The Roughnecks show by Paul Verhoeven was fucking awesome. God damn it, Jellybean, you little tard. It's been a while since the last beep boop, says David. Oh, don't worry. They come more frequently on Twitch these days. Who lives in a furry seat under the sea? Albine rare fox. Got him. Not Kibs. Kibs not a furry, chat. You're all deranged and delusional. She has all deranged and delusional. Delusional chant fishies. Oh, Johnny Bravo. That was good too. Ah, damn. Just thinking about all the stuff. Mythical Fool has been a member for 3 months, says, when will you do the ooh-woo, kibble? Ooh-woo. Ooh-woo. Yeah, that's cancer. Are you talking about, like, the fucking thingamajiggy? The VTuber thingy? I told, Bonbon basically to take her time on it, because she's still, like, adding some chatfish stuff. Which, honestly, I think is worth the wait. I think all good things come to those who wait, generally. That's why it's important to be patient. So waiting for the VTuber middle, might as well wait till it gets the extra bonuses, we'll call them. Just bonuses? Yes, bonuses. Ed and Eddie was Kino. Yes, it had a very interesting art style where it was wiggly when they were standing still. It led to some very, very cursed Meat Canyon videos, though. I'll say that much. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And God bless your soul. Righty, chat. But yeah, so if you guys have any further questions on the stuff, but that's kind of more or less everything when it comes to that, when it comes to the thingamajiggy. Now, when it comes to the channel stuff, I have to organize the watch-along stuff into proper thingamajiggies. Nope, pause that. Chat, did you like the watch-alongs? Start screaming. I feel uncomfortable towards femme hands. Yes, that is female hands, by the way. His icon is in there. Watch-alongs are experimental, chat. We'll have to see how these hold up over time. I was surprised you could actually do these thingy-majiggies. Thingy-majiggies, chat. Oh boy. Kibs is feeling a little bit... What's the word? Fuzzy? Fuzzy mind? Fuzzy brained? No? We tried, chat. We tried. Well, chat, I think that wraps up... or wait, force Kibs to watch nothing but bad movie. Actually, wait, real quickly. Let's get through the YouTube-y things. So, when it comes to the YouTube stuff, the podcast stuff is underway. You know what? You stuck with me through the end. You get to see it early. Hold on. Gotta go get it. Get it. Oh, get it. Get it. Eh. Open it up. Bonuses for Chatfish. Yes, you'll get to see that early, too. Why not? That has big fucking booba. Which has a big booba. It does. Come on, load. You'll get to see all of it. We're not holding back. Barbarian Rust donates $20 say bonuses equals giggle physics. I think you mean jiggle, but alright. Thank you for the donation. Hold on a second. Kibbo's misclicked. I just need to clean up my tab real quick. Alright, you're gonna see a lot of stuff, actually. 1, 2... Actually, we'll save that one. 2... And 3. There's the third thingy. You'll really appreciate that, I think. And 4. There. That should be everything. Alright, 4 things early, chat. Ready? Chat. Boop. Take a look. This is the thumbnail for the Bickering Bunch podcast stuff that's coming up. We'll be doing these podcasts basically as roundups to games. So when we beat a game or when we finish like a series or something, we'll do a podcast on it, sort of discussing what we thought of the game and overall thoughts on things. Because it'll be a cool insight and a nice way to discuss things. We might even cover some games we're interested in, but it'll be very, very specific. Yes, Aerith is a flapper. She's a roaring 20s gal, okay? The overall theme for the podcast is Art Deco, and that is kind of the overall theme. Kinda. It's very, very dapper, chat. Very dapper. 1920s ski podcast. Basically. That's the theme. Roaring 20s. We've been feeling a roaring 20s theme. It was related to the game, but I can't tell you what. Their eyes are fucking bulging. Like, how does that make any sense? This is the cover up for Tempest Rising thumbnail. That's an upcoming RTS game. So you can see that early. If you're on the Discord server, you see all this, but you might not if you don't go here, chat. Little chat fishy on the hat. The 8K subscriber special, which still has yet to happen. Yellow monetization. Sadness. And the upcoming Starship Troopers Extermination stream. It'll be pretty good. That thumbnail is fucking ridiculously good, by the way. Alucard's thumbnail work is fantastic, chat. Really curious as Tempest Rising will be good. I hope it will be. I'll be super sad if it's not. But yeah, that is our Tempest Rising, or not Tempest Rising. That's our Starship Troopers thummy. Alucard does good work. So does Albine. Albine thummy. And Alupalu. Hopefully it turns out good. Hopefully. But either or, little chat fishies. This will kind of wrap up today's stream. I'll stream something in a bit here. But I'm gonna take a break and make something to eat and then try to get some work done We're gonna probably do like a bonus stream thingy. It's gonna be like a weird thing. I'll schedule it in like a few minutes or 15 minutes. But for the meantime, you guys are gonna go raid Dingo. Just Dingo. Oh my fucking god! I didn't know she was alive. Some of you might not know that, but she is actually wiggling again. So you're gonna go say hi to Dingo. I'll schedule a stream for a little bit and make something to eat and try to get some work done for the voice actress ladies, and then we'll stream something later tonight. So have a good night, and thank you for your generous donations, and thanks for hanging out, guys. As always, we'll see you in the next stream chat. Say hi to Disco for me. Bye.